Hey guys, episode 41 of the stock portfolio series. If you want to sign up to Trading212 and get a free share on the waiting list at the moment, use my link down below in the description and in a pinned comment. So this week, seen a reasonable gain, about £6,000 up overall, and I've added £20,000. From sale of some crypto last week, which I sort of said was probably going to be coming. But most of this £6,000 gain has come from these two gold funds. So not a huge rise in gold and silver really, but the funds seem to have sort of taken it quite well. So these are up about 5,000 in the last week. So pretty good. The individual stocks I've got in the ISA sort of haven't fared quite as well, but pretty happy with these two. So looking at the ISA, obviously this is 20,000 up since last week, and hasn't moved a great deal other than that 20,000 move. So as suggested in the live stream, if you caught the live stream, put 2,000 of the deposit into the ArcPi. That's come down slightly, which is kind of good. Still want to add more to this sort of over time, so quite happy to sort of build this up while it's up and down. And then most of the rest went into REITs. So American Tower, this was a sort of relatively small position. I put 2,000 into that. Would have liked to have got it sort of at the lows. It did sort of dip right down to just under 200, but it's come right back up again. But I want it in these companies, so got to pay the price. Argo blockchain has come down a little bit with the Bitcoin drop, although Bitcoin's rocketed up today, so we'll see what happens to that on Monday if it stays as it is. Assura, one of the smaller UK REITs I've got, put £1,000 into that. Doing okay, but sort of still milling around lower prices really on the long term. Bitcoin ETP is just down slightly for the week, but again this should rise on Monday if Bitcoin stays where it is. Put a little bit into some penny stocks as well from the deposit. Bought Bidstack and one or two others. Just thought I'd have a little dabble in penny stocks. I don't really do a great deal of it. Fairly small amount of the portfolio. Things like sentiment's actually up 5%, so that sort of makes sense with the funds. Although the funds are up about 10%, so I think it must be some of the smaller miners. Digital Realty Trust, so this was one of the main REITs. So this was a fairly small position relatively before. I've upped this by 2,000. It's come sort of, again, still milling about for the last couple of weeks really. So would have been nice to get it lower, but fairly happy with this price for longer term. First Majestic's come up 5.5%. So I think the silver's come up slightly more than gold, but again, nothing to write home about. I'm surprised these are sort of seeing a reasonable amount of increase. Guild Esports was another little penny stock I got into. Small market cap, bit of esports, and I had a little bit more to Immersion, the sort of PS5 controller stock basically. Impact Healthcare REIT, one of my care home REITs, added £1,000 to this from the deposit this week. What else we got? Bought a little bit of Nova Site, little sort of penny stock that I got off the off one of the Discord forums, and that's crashed just after I bought it. So always lovely. That's what you get with penny stocks. Polymetal, I decided to average this down in the deposit this week. So I put £2,000 into this because it was sort of significantly undervalued, I thought. I was quite a bit down on it, but it still seems to be sort of one of the best value miners out there going on sort of projected earnings. So average this down. I'm now down 4%, but yeah, fairly happy with that position now, and hopefully that should do well if we're sort of seeing gold and silver rising, because they're in both. Realty income, was sort of thinking this would be one of my bigger positions, but less confident on it sort of at the moment, I think, especially at these prices. So I added 1,000. Maybe sort of before I might have made this one of the bigger positions, but we'll see where it goes. A little bit sort of more of a fan of industrial at the moment. So Stag Industrial, speaking of industrials, it's fairly flat for the week, but I added 2,000 into this. So getting my industrial exposure up. Sylvania Platinum's had a 5% move as well. That was £1.14, I think, last week. So good to see that back up. Expecting the sort of reasonably big dividend anytime soon. So that was about 3.75 pence. So what would that be? About £100 or so, £150. So fairly big dividend. Somebody asked how much I've had in dividends sort of in these two in the stock portfolios. It's not really a huge amount because I have added a lot sort of in the last few months. So I was starting to sort of see the fruits of that in March, really. In this portfolio hasn't received a lot because they're sort of sporadic dividends, really. A lot of UK companies in here sort of pay twice a year, so I haven't seen a huge amount of that. Out of interest, I think on here I got £20 in March, and that's sort of all I'd had for a couple of months, really. Maybe £30 sort of in the last couple of months. But things like Polymetal sort of paid a large dividend back in October. I think I got about £80 out of that, and I think they've got another one coming up shortly, so got my £2,000 in before the ex-dividend date. It's a little bit better in the invest account, so I'll have a look at that shortly. The Target Healthcare REIT was the other UK care home one that I've got, so added £1,000 into that. Only a small REIT, but room to move. Taylor Wimpey seen another 4% gain on the week, so I'm up to 59% up on this now. Still seems to be moving well, and projected earnings look good, so happy with that. And then the two Tritaxes, so UK big box doing pretty well. Added £1,500 on this and £1,500 on Eurobox. Both up sort of reasonably well this week, and happy to add more to both. Europe still sort of struggling more with the virus than the UK, so Eurobox is still a little bit down, but not looking too bad. And Volkswagen just sort of had a slight dip after sort of good run up this week. So see sort of the month looks pretty good, but it's just come off a little in this last week. So yeah, that's the ISA. That's £20,000 added, looking good. And looking at the invest, So up a couple of thousand on this, I think, in the last week. Yeah, about 96. Yeah, £2,000 up. Haven't added anything to it. Just some of the investments doing pretty well. I think the sort of main movers were Barrett, with Taylor Wimpey sort of going up. Barrett's done ever so slightly better, about 4.2%. A lot of sort of other shares are just doing reasonably well, a couple of percent. Things like 3M, Archer Daniels, 1.5%. It's just sort of across the board, really. Broadcom, slight increase. Diageo, 5% in the last week. I haven't read up on the news on them because it's still only a small position for me. Don't really want to buy too much into this at this sort of price. Probably will eventually. eBay's pretty flat. FedEx was pretty flat. Intel, one of the big movers. Again, I haven't really read the news too much on this, but good to see him doing well. The ETFs are fairly flat, pretty much all of them. Johnson & Johnson, slight dip. Kroger had a bit of a dip sort of in the last week, but this week has come back. So 5% move this week. Still looking good. Defensive is what I like. Legal and General, another 5% move. So this is doing a little bit better than Aviva. Aviva sort of dropped back, and I think Legal and General and Aviva are both 10% up, or Aviva's 17% up. But yeah, both of those doing pretty well. Again, sort of fairly defensive. Interest rates potentially going up. I think they always tend to like that. Lennar, not doing too bad. Lockheed Martin seen a 4% move. Again, sort of probably need to read up a little bit on this, just see what's happened, or if it's just the general market. I mean, 4% isn't a huge move, really, in the grand scheme of things. Micron had a little move, 3%. Prosus. It's a bit of a surprise with this. They've announced they're selling, I think, 14 billion of the Tencent stake. So a little bit strange, sort of them announcing that makes Tencent's price go down, which then makes Prosus's price go down because it's basically sort of valued on the Tencent holding. So sort of announced that they're going to do, I guess they have to announce it, but you kind of hope that they would sort of try and quietly sell it, but down 5%. But we'll see what they want to do with the money. I think they want to spend more of it on e-commerce and that sort of thing in emerging markets. I think seen some that they want to spend some in India. So a little bit strange. It's going to maybe move a little bit more away from just being the 10-cent valuation, and will sort of move a little bit on its own. So be interesting to see where that goes. Raytheon, just a slight move up. Rio Tinto, 3%. Heard they're getting into lithium, which is interesting. A little bit more diversification away from steel, and obviously lithium with their batteries isn't going anywhere, so good to see them sort of diversifying a little bit and getting into more profitable metals. Shell, absolutely flat for the week, pretty much. Samsung, nice little move. Looks like it's dropped, but it was sort of at a slightly lower price in the last month, so pretty happy with them. Siemens is flat. Sony, nice little move up. Not seen any particular news from them, but nice little move. Did seem to be undervalued anyway, so this is starting to do well. 7% up on that now. TSMC's had a slight pullback, not too much Tyson Foods 2% up, just sort of seems to be steadily running up over on the longer term, so pretty happy with them. The video game ETF's pretty flat, and Verizon was slightly down. So yeah, that's the portfolio for the week. So with the gain and the deposit up £26,000, crypto doing pretty well. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. See you soon.